Hey, welcome back to the table, everyone. I thought I would bring the Sazabi back one more time for a build update. I might not be able to really build on this for the next few days, so I thought I would show you where I'm at currently and what I think so far. Let me go ahead and open up. What I did here was, well, I transported this, so it's a little bit of a mess. So let me clear it out a little bit. First thing I did, and I would wholly recommend doing something like this, is lined all the sprues up alphabetically. So the A's are over here, and there's like an A1, A2. Because there's, a left arm, right arm kind of a thing, they have included generally 2 sprues for most parts. So it's either like an A1 and A2, or like 2 H's or 2 K's. So assembling this was so much easier just to line all the sprues up. So when it says go to the F's, I just shift them over. Now that does make sense why I saw those runner holders is to do just this. So if you don't want to buy one or make one, just lay your runners out like this, and then every time you got to go to something, it's a lot less hassle than what I did do. When I first started, I treated this like I would any model that I would build, and I would just simply look for the runner I needed, but then they're stacked and it takes forever. But once I laid them out like this, kind of based on what I saw other people do, this made it so much better. Now, a video I did see was someone who took cardboard. I got a cardboard box, so I might make one, but they just took cardboard and then made slots. So they took something like this box and then made individual slots for all of the runners. And so I might actually do that. I might take the box that this model came in and put cardboard dividers so it makes slots. So that way they're always standing up, easy to find. Because one thing I found, obviously, when you're flipping, all the little bits and pieces stick to each other. If you try to flip a whole bunch, they don't flip very well. But anyway, that's something for me to work on later. Now, how's the model? Well, let me move this aside. Grab this here book. And I think it's safe to pull this down. Let me just shift camera view here. Alright, so we're at the table now. Okay. First of all, the instructions are incredibly good. Without being able to speak or read any Japanese, there's some things, but I really don't know what they're talking about. So there's like a seal wa, something. There's a lot of kanji in here I can't get. You can read some of the katakana, but it's like, oh, okay, cool. There's a decal that goes here, but I'm not going to decal up yet. So without that, just looking at the pictures has been great. There's only 2 things I have found to pass along as a tip. When you do the hand, definitely, this is what I missed at first. I unclipped everywhere to release it, but what I missed was, and it's probably hard to see where I'm pointing at, but there's a little bit of plastic that's holding what would be the pinky to the palm that you need to make sure you cut. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to be trying to spend a lot of time figuring out why that pinky won't come out and be articulated like the rest of the hand. And let me tell you, this hand is probably, I'm easily amused. And I was easily amused at how this hand was constructed, being as small as it is, but it is fully articulated. The fingers do this kind of nonsense. I mean, it's incredible. And all you gotta do is cut it loose. So however they built this thing is amazing. So to have these articulated hands and fingers, I'll show you in a moment, is really, really cool. But once you have it snipped free and you get them all kind of assembled and twisted, you have these really cool looking hands. And other than that, it does take time to put all the pieces. I've spent all together now and realize I just kind of will be watching TV with my wife. I'm sitting on the couch. I got a little table I set in front of me, so I'll clip a piece out of the runner, trim it down a little bit. So it's not like speed building, but I am probably a good 5 or so hours into this already, and I've got like the upper body and arms done, and the shoulders. And it's fine. Like normally I would be in a hurry to try and get things built, but I'm actually finding it to be just rather relaxing to clip and clean up pieces and then stick them together. So I'm thoroughly enjoying the pace of the build. And what's nice is as you start to hit milestones, you start to get the beginnings of a really cool looking robot. Gundam. I'm not sure if it's polite to say a robot, but mecha. But yeah, it started to look really cool. And just to show you how articulated, that's the part that surprised me. So I knew going in this would be an articulated robot. But my goodness, just this upper part is in the arms. There's so much. Now I don't want, it's not a toy, so I'm trying not to overly play with it because I don't want parts to start to wear down and then it won't be able to hold its poses. But these arms are, I mean, quite a bit that you can do, how far they can move and bend. And what's cool is they've even included, and I saw someone do this before, they made custom pistons, and I was like, well, why do you need to make pistons? But, you know, again, just depending on what you want to do, you can actually see those pistons. I don't know if you can see it from that camera angle, but there's actually pistons that extend. So it's actually got pistons that go up inside cylinders. So, I mean, it's like, you know, very cool. It might not show up on camera very well, but once you kind of get to a point, I don't know if I can, if you can see that. I was like, wow, that is so cool. And it does have little things even at this part that you can kind of open, kind of animate a little bit. This one here was not the most impressive. I mean, it just opens up a little bit, but my guess is for when it's doing super modes and different things, you know, those are more for vents than anything else. So it just opens up a little bit. Here the shoulders are animated as well, and they kind of open up. Again, it's got boosters there, so depending on how you pose it, you see boosters that are hidden. So I thought that's kind of cool. Yeah, it opens up pretty good. But yeah, you can then kind of pose that so you see the boost. So this thing can fly fast when it's flying. And the only animation part that is not as well built as I would like is right in here under the shoulder, these rockets here, thrusters, whatever you want to call them. My lighting is not coming over the way I want. This doohickey, it's supposed to, when you pull this down, you can twist these thrusters, you can actually position them a little bit, and this top part will come up. The problem is, so it kind of, the problem is up here at the front of the model here, there's little latches that are supposed to catch on the inside. There's runners, but just the way that this seats into the model, they don't always catch, so it's supposed to kind of open smoothly. It's hard to describe without taking this apart, but it's the only thing that I have found that is not really as well engineered as the rest of the figure is. So I mean, it's still cool, you have this animated part, it's just that it doesn't quite function the way that it should. The inner knobs that are supposed to catch on the runners are too small maybe, so now that I'm thinking about it, I don't have putty, I don't do green stuff or anything like that, but if I was a person that had any skill with plastic, what I might do is actually add on to the nubs that sit on the inside of the rails, and that way they hold better. Like, again, I can't really show you with the camera angles without taking this apart, but that would probably be one thing I would customize a little bit, is make the little nubs that are supposed to sit on the rails that keep this part in place when you do the animation, when you do the transformation. I think maybe, yeah, again, I can't really show you here with it all attached to the camera, but yeah, there's a lot of animated parts in here that are kind of cool. It's just that's the only one I found that doesn't actually work the way it's intended to for me. I could modify that someday when I'm clever and understand how to do that. And even this little part of the helmet kind of lifts up, and that I don't really see a whole lot of need for that, but again, you've got a lot of little animated parts, so you can really kind of customize and poses. And last thing I'll probably show you will be the hand here, because I wanted to keep this short just to build update. Yeah, so the articulation of the hands is what is most incredible. Let me see if I can shift some light down. Yeah, I got the box in the way. Let me see if I can bring this light over. Can't really bring it over that well. Well, sorry, y'all. I was trying to get some light on the subject better, but not working the way I wanted. So I'm hoping you can see this. But check out these fingers. Holy cow. You can really bend those suckers and get them to hold stuff. It's got a thumb. Like I said, I'm easily amused, and the way that these things have been constructed, these fingers are just the coolest thing ever. Yeah, and you can do the same over here. Make it grip stuff. Yeah, and that's the only thing I'm worried about is, as amused as I am with the construction of the fingers, as I play with it because I'm amused, you know, they're going to get loose over time. So I'm trying not to play with those too much. But it's really hard to resist. And I let my daughter play, and she was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, I know, isn't that amazing? So anyway, that's where we are so far. There's no animation here. Those don't do anything. No animation on the back that I'm aware of. These are the nubs for the backpack. It's going to have this huge, they got this thing about huge backpacks. But yeah, there you are so far. Let me just move this up a little bit for you. And then you just clamp these back down. Rockets go back up into the shoulder when they're not being used. And that just on the basic is where we're at so far with the Sazabi. So yeah, like I said, might be a few days, but what I've got left so far to do left is the waist, which is going to have a few big sections of an inner frame that armor and whatnot attaches to. And of course just a whole bunch of little bits and pieces, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. And then once that skirting is done, that's going to be animated as well. I already know that that's going to have some stuff we'll show you. Then we'll start the legs. It's going to have right leg and left leg construction. So far the arms, what they did for the arms is they just said arms, and then they said make 2 of each. So this is interesting to me that there's actually a set of instructions specifically for the left leg and a set of instructions specifically for the right leg. So that tells me that maybe there's some slight differences between the 2 legs. So once you finish the right leg, you go into the left leg. So I don't know for sure why they did it that way and not the arms. Maybe because the legs are more intricate. And then once you're done with the legs, it's got a bottom section. And then finally your backpack, which has a lot of other things you can do here. Animated rocket launcher, items, bombs. There's the backpack. How to assemble and stick that on there. And then the weapons, shields. You can make a couple variants of the rifle. They had one where it looked like all the bits and pieces were on it, so it just made this really cool assault rifle. So we'll look and figure out what I want to build. This was showing some of the animations that you could do. Oh yeah, there is one more animation here. Let me see if I can remember where it's at. Now that I think about it, I don't remember where the other animation was that I had. Oh, it's on the arms. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Even these have, they don't come out very far, but it's got this little separation that you do. And then inside, again, you can barely see it in there, but there's another rocket, another thruster, I should say. So this separates out a little bit. So it separates on both sides here. It makes a little snap sound when you pull it out. So there you go. I forgot all about that. There's one more on the arm. Yep. So little hidden stuff. And I could see why. I've seen some people do some of the inner frame parts in like a chrome, and I could see that because this to me should be very shiny. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.